They were found chewing, quietly, calmly, like it was just another meal. But what they were eating wasn't food, not by any law, not by any sea. And no one on that ship has ever spoken about it since. This is the story of what pirates eat when there's nothing left but the wrong choice. They didn't dock for 20 days. And by the 10th, they weren't eating what they were supposed to. The Lasca, a former merchant brig turned pirate vessel, left Tortuga in the spring of 1803 with 41 men, 7 crates of salt beef, a few barrels of hardtack, and enough citrus to last maybe a week. Their target was a Portuguese convoy off the northern coast of Brazil. But winds shifted, currents dragged, and soon they were deep in the Atlantic, nowhere near any trade route, and no one sure where they were. The salt beef was the first to turn. Barrels, not properly sealed, had taken seawater in during loading. By day 5, the meat had soured. Flies buzzed around every open cask. The quartermaster ordered a full toss overboard. Day 6, hardtack only. Worm-riddled but edible if you scraped the black parts off. The men soaked them in watered rum to soften them. Some refused to eat. The surgeon warned about salt sores and scurvy. But there was no citrus left. By day 8, discipline frayed. The cook, a Haitian named Danton, rationed what little dried fish remained. Shut up and chew became the ship's only rule. A fight broke out over a moldy apple found under a crate. The man who found it offered it to the captain. The captain didn't take it. That was worse than if he had. By day 10, they began eating leather. Old belts were boiled. Ropes were burned to get at the salted fibers inside. One man chewed his own boots down to the sole. Another swallowed small coins to trick his stomach into feeling full. Then they stopped singing. No sea shanties, no laughter. Just silence. And the endless groan of wood on waves. By day 13, the carpenter went mad. He insisted the ship was moving in circles, that the stars were lying, that someone had thrown away the compass on purpose. They searched. The compass was missing. No one spoke of it. Day 15. Rats. They found them under the grain sacks. They were eating each other too. The crew didn't hesitate. They skinned and cooked them, some without bothering to remove the heads. The cook burned his hands. He said it was a message. This ship doesn't want heat anymore. By day 17, men whispered that the storm wasn't coming. It was following. Day 18. A man jumped overboard, swearing he saw an island. There was nothing. They didn't go after him. Day 19, they opened a barrel of lamp oil to see if it would boil anything. They tried boiling rope again. It worked. Once. The men who ate it slept for 2 days straight. On day 20, they saw sails. A British merchant vessel. But they didn't fire. They didn't chase. They sat. And when the British boarded them, they found 23 men left. No cannon loaded. No one at the helm. Just a group of ragged, sun-scorched pirates eating something soft and gray out of a canvas sack, sharing it silently, spoon by spoon. When asked what it was, no one answered. The Lasca was impounded, then scuttled. The survivors scattered. Some became whalers, some vanished. The cook never spoke again. He was found years later in Trinidad, alive, mute, and always chewing something in his cheek, even when he had nothing. No one ever figured out what happened on those 20 days. But no one sailed with the Lasca's captain again, even though he offered double pay. The 23 men rescued from Lasca were taken aboard the Mercy Ann, a British merchant ship bound for Barbados. The captain offered food, water, even medical care. None of them spoke. They ate what was given to them, slowly, deliberately. Some chewed as if they were still testing it. One man choked on a piece of bread, not from speed, but from confusion. It was as if they had forgotten what real food was. Only the cook, Danton, refused everything. He sat at the far edge of the deck, staring into the sea, lips moving, chewing on nothing. The British surgeon said he was in shock. Another said it was guilt. But what could make a man guilty for simply surviving? When they reached port, the British filed an official report. Malnutrition, heat, exhaustion, navigation failure. No mention of what they had been eating. No mention of the missing crates. But there were whispers. A young cabin boy claimed he saw something in a sack, something with fabric, not flesh. Some said it was rope. Others said it was bone. No one checked. Within weeks, the survivors disappeared. Some joined other crews. Some were found drunk in the gutters of Bridgetown. One slit his own throat with a rusted spoon in the middle of a tavern. No one claimed his body. Only Danton stayed visible. He was hired as a dock cook, barely spoke, never smiled. But he worked. Every day at noon, he would step away from his station, take a strip of canvas from his coat, and chew it. Slow, silent, mechanical. One day, he didn't show up. They found him in a boathouse by the water, still warm, still chewing. In his hands was a logbook, not his, but the Lasca's. Most of it was soaked, unreadable. But on the last page, 4 words were scratched with something sharp. We ate what followed. To this day, no ship has ever registered under the name Lasca again. Not because it's cursed, but because it's remembered. And every cook at sea, every real one, still knows the story of what happened when 41 men ran out of food and chose something else. Ten years later, in 1813, the sea forgot. No one mentioned Lasca anymore. The survivors had scattered or died. The records were buried in colonial archives. The name was erased from every manifest, every naval log, every shipping registry. But the ocean does not forget. That year, a British Naval Survey ship, Heron's Wake, was charting drift patterns west of Tobago. Calm seas, clean sky. The crew was experienced, careful, methodical, until they saw something that didn't belong. A crate, drifting alone. Rough wood, stained by time and salt. The rope handles were long, rotted away. On the side, a faint black X, burned, not painted. They hauled it aboard. Inside, nothing, except layered canvas, still damp, no markings, no seal. But underneath the last fold, a spoon, rusted, bent, chewed at the tip. They threw the crate overboard the same day. But the ship's cook, a young man from Port Royal named Alvis Curran, was never the same. He'd handled the crate last. His fingers touched the fabric. He wiped them on his apron and kept working. That night, he didn't eat. The next day, he burned every bag of rice that hadn't been opened. Said it smelled wrong. The day after that, he boiled a leather belt in the galley. Then quietly, he asked for rope. When questioned, he only said one thing. I read it. I don't know how, but I read it. He jumped overboard the next morning, before dawn. They never found him. Months later, the Heron's Wake filed a standard report. Cook lost at sea during weather shift. No further anomalies, but a midshipman wrote something else in his personal journal. The crate came from nowhere. The mark burned itself into my head. And when I sleep, I still hear them chewing. There's a saying among Caribbean captains now, old ones, who've seen too much. If it floats to you, it was meant to. If it's wrapped in canvas,
burn it. And if a cook goes quiet, don't ask why. Just turn the ship around and sail fast.